Hello everyone, it's NotaNoobPat, and welcome to Perk Review. Today we're taking a look at the level 30 Cheryl Mason perk, Soul Guard. After you recover from the dying state, either from this perk, Unbreakable, or a teammate, you will gain the Endurance status effect for 8 seconds. This means if you take a hit, you will not be put back into the dying state. Instead, you will get a deep wound, so you have to mend yourself. This is similar to how Borrowed Time protects you as well. If you get hit again, or don't mend within the timer, you will go back into the dying state. You get the curse status effect from hex perks like No-Ed, Devour Hope, Huntress Lullaby, Ruin, or Thrill of the Hunt. This means as long as one of those totems is active, you can still fully recover. Obviously, the main pro to this perk is that you can hypothetically heal yourself out of the dying state an unlimited number of times. Then, it's nice to get some extra protection from the endurance status effect when you are healed out of the dying state. The cons are that while I think this ability is very cool, this perk is very situational. The killer has to have a hex perk, which is pretty likely, but then you have to make sure either your teammates don't get rid of that hex, or that you can survive the game with the hex still active. Then, it's technically not compatible with Unbreakable. Now, Unbreakable is a great aid to this perk for the increased dying recovery speed. The first time you come out of the dying state, both Unbreakable and Soul Guard are used when there is a hex. This perk is probably much more helpful to see in action, so let's get into our demonstration. Here I am, picking myself out of the dying state with this perk. Then, I'm going to be protected for 8 seconds by the Soul Guard Endurance. After I am hit, the Endurance status effect protects me from going back down. Then, I'm going to mend to prevent myself from going into the dying state again. You can see the Endurance status effect indicated on the left side of the screen. Then, on the right side, and in the perk window, you will be able to see a timer for the 8-second protection period. Then, being cursed is important, because this allows you to pick yourself up out of the dying state. Again, this comes from different hex perks including Thrill of the Hunt. You will see the triangle on the right side of the screen to indicate that you are cursed. Since I am cursed, I'm able to pick myself up out of the dying state, and I'm going to be hit during the Endurance status effect. If you are hit again during the Endurance status effect, as you can see, you're going to go back down into the dying state. This will also happen if you do not mend. Then it's important to see that you don't have to use these methods to get protection. My teammate heals me out of the dying state, and I'm still going to get the endurance status effect. Now, after I cleanse the totem, I'm no longer cursed. Therefore, I won't have the ability to lift myself out of the dying state with Soul Guard anymore. However, the endurance status effect will still remain. Let's get into our video demonstration. In this first game, I'm going to show how I use Soul Guard. It is important to note that we are cursed, but I'm still using Unbreakable. While they are technically not compatible, I still use Unbreakable for the increased recovery speed in the dying state. Instead of popping up in front of the doctor without protection with Unbreakable, I use Soul Guard and I take a hit so I can get a temporary speed boost. Then later in the game, you can see that I do get to pick myself up for a second time because of Soul Guard. Now this second example is awesome. It's going to show both aspects of this perk. The killer is going to hit me down with No-Ed, and this perk causes a curse status effect. At this point I had already used my Unbreakable, so Soul Guard is the only way back up. But again, the killer is running back to me. Just getting myself up with Unbreakable wouldn't have been good enough. Fortunately, I can use the endurance hit from Soul Guard from the Trapper to protect myself, and I'm able to escape. Again, Soul Guard was the only reason I was able to escape this way, and this is an awesome example. So, let's give it a grade. Soul Guard is a 5.5. While the last example was clearly a 10 out of 10, the problem with this perk is that it's not compatible with Unbreakable to start. Unfortunately, the Unbreakable may just be used for its speed boost to get out of the dying state, because it's used simultaneously with Soul Guard the first time you heal yourself out of the dying state. That's a major bummer. However, this perk might have been a little OP if it did work and banked your Unbreakable for later in the game when you weren't cursed anymore. Then, if a killer isn't using a hex perk that causes you to be cursed, this perk loses its most useful feature, which is picking yourself up out of the dying state an unlimited amount of times. Again, this perk is just so situational. You may not need the protection hit when you pick yourself up out of the dying state. You may not be able to pick yourself up out of the dying state if there's no curse status effect. Then, if the killer doesn't slug, none of this matters anyway, unfortunately. However, the benefits are just too enticing to give this perk any grade lower than a 5.5 out of 10. There are times where you could just pick yourself up 3 or 4 times in one game. That would be awesome. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave it a like. If you want to check out more perk review, make sure to look for the links in the description and visit my channel to subscribe. I also stream twice a week on Twitch if you ever wanted to stop by. Take it easy.